Edition of our Thursday night's class. Hamalach hagoel oti mikol ra, yivarech et hane'arim, v'yikare bahem shemi. The angel that redeemed me from all bad, from all evil, should bless the children. V'yikare bahem shemi, and my name should be mentioned in them. Shem avotai Avraham Yitzchak, and so on. How does it end? V'yidgu larov, they should multiply. Bekerev haaretz. Haaretz is land, the ground, the land. Bekerev, the kavayim is the intestines, the inside. They should multiply inside the land. I don't know, normally when people are inside the ground, that's when they stop multiplying already. That's not when they multiply. So what does the pasuk say? What's the blessing? V'yidgu larov bekerev haaretz, inside the pillar. Now my question, Kli Yakar asked this question. Yaakov says the pasuk should have said, "V'yidhu ba'aretz." They'll multiply on the ground, on land. They'll take over land. Like in Jersey now, we started in Lakewood, and little by little we're taking off all the surrounding towns. And it's really ka'asher ya'anu oto ken yirbe v'chen yifrotz. Just like they don't like it happening, it happens even more and more. That's v'yidhu larov. V'kerev haaretz, we're taking over all the towns. That's the way it is. Jews are cash buyers. It's hard to say no. They take over houses very quickly. Kerev haaretz has to be something over here. So the Kli Yakar says an interesting answer. We're going to try to use this and see what we can get out of it for ourselves. There's a Gemara Masechet Sotah Yud Aleph, Amud Bet, I think. The Gemara says that Kivan shemekirim bahem Mitzrayim, the Egyptians, this is not a new thing of Jackson Township that they don't like that the Jews are moving into their town. This is an old problem. When the Egyptians saw that Jews had big families, and little by little they're taking over territory, they didn't like what they were seeing. So ba'in lahorgam, they would come to kill them, they wanted to wipe them out. So these Jews, they're multiplying too quickly, we can't deal with this already. Comes the Midrash and says a very interesting thing, the Gemara and says a very interesting thing. This is a Gemara that everybody knows because of Daf Yomi and whatever, we're learning it, but for some reason the detail we don't pay attention to. The Gemara says a pellet, something is against the nature. There was a miracle. What was the miracle? Comes to Gemara and says, Nivlaim bakarka. The people would get swallowed up into the ground, the Jews. And Mevi'im shvarim v'chorshim al gabam. They would plow them over. Let's understand what this means. The whole thing's very interesting. Shneimar, and the Gemara brings a pasuk to prove it. And then afterwards it says that they would come out after the Egyptians had no power over them. And they were safe to continue. And on this the Gemara brings a few psukim to prove the idea from every angle. Amongst them, Revavak etzemach hasadeh mitatich. V'keivan shemitgadlim, and when these children grew up, ba'im adarim lebatehem, they would flock, tons and tons of them, back home. That means they didn't need a night nurse or babysitting service. The ground that plowed them over was their babysitter, and a nest happened, they were fed, and if this is what Chazal say in the Gemara, this is not a parable. If Chazal said, that's what it was. The Yaakov brings down this Gemara, and he says, if that's the case, we understand the blessing of Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu said, it's not enough to give you a blessing now that you should have kids, that you should multiply, because the Egyptians are going to come kill you, there's not going to be anything left of the kids. V'yidgu larov. After you have the children, bekerev haaretz, may they go into the ground and the ground protects them until they get old enough to fight for themselves, until they can defend themselves. So it's pshuto k'mashmao, this blessing. It's a very interesting chidush of the Kli Yakar. But obviously, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make a nest to save them, so he had to stick them into the ground, just protect them, make a different nest. What's this idea of sticking them into the ground? What do we take them and stick them into the ground? God doesn't make a miracle for no reason. If we went to such an extreme, there got to be a reason why we structured the miracle that way. That the Kli Yakar doesn't really explain so much. So I saw in a wonderful sefer called Yechiru Uven from Reuven Karenstein Zechet Tzadik Levacha Zchuto Yagen Aleinu. He brings down, and it's brought down from him in the sefer. He didn't write the sefer. An amazing pshat. I'm going to bring it down a little more to our terms. He wasn't aware of this error, even though he just passed away a few years ago. When a baby's born, we're talking about a natural birth, that everything's healthy, God willing, that's the way it should always be in Am Yisrael. And they take the baby, they clean it up a little bit, not even perfectly, right? All the moms here know this very well. And they put the baby right in the mother's hands. And that's done for medical reasons. What used to happen after that, until just a few years ago, was that if the girl's mother was there, so she would want to see the grandchild, the husband would, his new child, they would talk a little bit. Now something else happens. A bunch of iPhones come out, and we take pictures of the newborn, and we broadcast it on WhatsApp and post it on Instagram. The baby's not even alive 3 minutes, and we already have thousands of eyes on him. Yaakov Avinu saw Beruach HaKodesh that there's going to be a generation like that. And he gave good advice to every Jewish mother. When you have children, you want them to grow up healthy, stop posting their pictures all over the place. You're just making ayin hara on them. You're just giving them problems later on in life. People are jealous, people this, people that. I tell you, ma'aseh norah. I studied with a boy in yeshiva. This story goes back a lot of years. 1992. 1992 to be exact. And his nickname in the yeshiva was Baal Hanes. That wasn't his family name. There are some people that have a family name Baal Hanes. That was his nickname. He was an Ashkenaz boy. They used to call him Baal Hanes. Why Baal Hanes? He was in a coma, this kid, for 2.5 years. And later on in life, he was a normal boy. And not only a normal boy, he was physically developed like a normal boy. That's the pele also. That he got up from a coma, let's say, there are documented medical stories. But his body developed in the interim, and he was a developed kid. He had a regular sharp mind. I learned with him Charuta. He was older than me by 2 years, a year and a half. So I once asked him, where'd you get this nickname from, and what's your stories? He said, what do you mean? I was very sick, I had a big miracle, and whatever. I said, okay, but why you? I know other people who are sick too. What's the... He says, no, by me it's a family thing. I said, what's the family thing? So he told me a crazy story. He said his father was considered a very wealthy Jew. Today it's very common. We have a lot of wealthy Orthodox Jews. It's no big deal. But in the 90s it was less common. There was a handful of wealthy Orthodox Jews. How many were there already? And he says, my father was one of those. And my parents didn't have children for 9 years. And the doctors really didn't have much hope. They got a blessing from a tzaddik. I forgot, he told me which tzaddik, I forgot, but. And b'derech nes, the mother got pregnant, she had a healthy son. By then it's almost 10 years since they're married. They're wealthy people. And this is a simcha gdola, right? This simcha has no boundaries. So they took some, I don't remember the names, I don't want to make up stories, but whatever the name was, some fancy hotel in Manhattan. And that's where they made him a brit that back then, in the 90s, he was already 14. So we're talking about way before, in the end of the 70s, costed then $250,000. I don't know what that is with inflation today, but that sounds like a big number to me. A brit. He says, my mother never made it home with me from the brit. That's what his mother told him. From the brit, he was rushed to the hospital in a coma for 2.5 years. He said, and the reason why my parents nicknamed him Baal HaNes is because the Nes was that they felt that they did it to themselves. What did we have to take everybody's eyes out for? What was the point? Like a breathe. Somebody said it's the equivalent to $2 million. Crazy. For what? For what? What are we trying to gain? And how many people attend such a function? I don't know. I wasn't there, but I wasn't born yet for that matter. I don't know. But my guess is 300, 500, 800. And how many Instagram followers do you have? So if you only have 3, so then you're a loser. Close your Instagram anyway. And if you have thousands, so then that's what you're doing to your son the first second he's born. For what? What are you doing? What's the point? Crazy. If you want to have children that are successful, don't blast, don't broadcast their success. Don't take other people's eyes out because it's going to backfire at them. Nice shot. Now I watered down what he said. But how do you know that this shot is truth? It's not just an agenda. Midrash Rabbah. The Midrash says, what's the blessing of Yitgula of B'kerev ha'etz? Ma dagim alalu gdelim b'mayim. Just like fish grow up in the water. Kivan שיורד טיפה אחת מלמעלה. מקבלים אותה בצמאון. You ever see fish when it rains? Interesting phenomenon. They're in the water, they got all the water in the world, but there's rain coming down and they come to the top of the water. That's why the best time to go fishing is when it's raining. The easiest time to catch good fish. I don't know that, I never went fishing in my life, but people told me. And they come as if to grab the water. What do you mean, you're in the water? What are you trying to grab over here? Comes to Midrash, says Hashem made that purposely. It's a big lesson. Yaakov Avinu gave a blessing to Am Yisrael. Kach Yisrael Gdelim B'mayim. Am Yisrael lives in Mayim of Torah, the water of Torah. But Kivan Shem Shomim Davar Chadash MaTorah. But if they have the opportunity to learn something new in the Torah, Mikablim Oto B'Tzimaron, they're thirsty to get it. Kimi Shelo Shamud Bar Torah Mi'imehem. As if they never heard anything in their life. This, to me, this week, is an interesting thing to discuss. Hashem has his ways, and when the Goyim had a holiday celebrating a Jewish boy that was thrown out of yeshiva, Christmas, that's what the Gemara says, he was a Jewish boy that was thrown out of yeshiva. Let's say it as it is, we're not scared to say the truth. So, some of us still had to work, we didn't get off that day. And by some of the Goyim, if you work that day, they pity you, they feel bad for you. So when people were aware, acquaintances of mine that aren't Jewish were aware that I was working Christmas Day, they pitied me. Like I was getting all these sympathy messages throughout the day. We hope you're holding out. As if somebody passed away or something. I was waiting for the sorry for your loss message to come through already. I said, no, it's fine. You guys get one day. I had 8 days just now. The Hanukkah was amazing. I was home the whole week. Everything's under control. I wasn't the only one that had to work. Some tax attorney that I know had to work that day too. Non-Jewish woman. And due to all the changes in taxes and the panic of paying your property tax before the end of the year and all the other things that you might want to ask your accountant about and save a few bucks, this attorney has big clients and she has no choice but has to work. As I'll say that when people have problems, they equal each other. She knew through the same firm that I'm working the same day, so she messages me, I see we both have to work today. I said, yeah, by you it's probably traumatic, by me not so much, but it's okay. And he says, can I call you for a minute? I said, call. I said, oh my God, I paid my taxes last year. If a tax attorney wants to call you, it's normally not a good thing. She calls, she said, if I'm already texting you, let me give you a couple of pieces of advice. She told me a few things. I said, thank you very much. She said, I got to ask you something. I said, what? She said, you sound happy. Why you sound happy? I said, why not? I said, it's Christmas and you're working. I said, and therefore what? I said, I'm miserable. I said, okay, maybe it's because honestly, with all due respect, this doesn't really mean much to me, so I don't care to work today. But honestly, I like working. Like, what's the problem? No, I don't buy that. Then she throws at me, did you work Sunday? It was Monday. I said, yeah, I worked Sunday also, by the way. So should I tell you a little secret? I work 365 days a year. Either to make a living or volunteer work to help people, but one or the other. I don't have a day off. So there's one day that I'm going to have off. It's when I give my soul back to my Creator and they put 6 feet of dirt on top of me. And at that point, I'll have vacation. But until that point, I don't have off. I don't believe in off. It's not my style. He said, how are you happy? I said, what do you mean? People that are off are happy? She said, sure, they're a lot happier. They don't have all this stress and this extra work and this craziness. I said, I want to make an interesting observation. I said, what? I said, everybody's off today, right? That's what you're complaining about. What are they doing? They're opening presents, and when they're finishing opening their presents, they go into the bars. Or if you live in Philly, there was an important Eagles game some Monday night. So that was like Shvitat Milacha. Everybody had to stop their life to watch the Eagles game. I don't even know what the result was, but for the sake of the Philadelphia Jewry, I hope it was okay. And the local economy. I said, if they're happy because they're off, then why do they have to go out to drink? Somebody who's happy doesn't have to go out to drink. And if they're such happy people because they have a holiday, why do they have to get gifts? And then the next day go run and return them also. I said, so obviously they're not so happy. And I said, you know what? Could be you and I that are not doing that are the ones that are really happy. Because we actually have something productive to do today. While everybody else is bored. She was quiet. I go, yeah, she was quiet for a few minutes. Intelligent woman. You say, you know what, you're right. I agree with you. Thank you, you made my day. I appreciate it. If you need any favors, call me anytime. I said, I hope and pray that from a tax attorney I never need any favors in my life. I'm in Kenya. And I hung up the phone. Later on in the day, I was talking to friends of mine. By the time I got done my day, I said, maybe we got it all wrong. Maybe exactly what we think makes us happy is the stamp of our misery, and exactly what we think makes us miserable is the only hope for our happiness. And here's the parable that I like using. It's not a parable, it's actually a true story of a close friend of mine. But I use it as a parable to life. I have a friend that his aspiration from probably 13, 14, I don't know exactly when years old, was to climb Mount Everest. What's the ta'ava in that, honestly? I don't understand. I don't know. But that was his aspiration. He wanted to climb Mount Everest. Now this guy was no joker. In yeshiva he was great. Later on when he went to the army in Israel, he was great there too. He was a fighter in Tzanchanim, a paratrooper, no games. And whatever he did to perfection. He finished the army, he was 22 years old. He's going to climb Mount Everest. Doesn't know anything about it. Takes months, years, I don't know. I think it took him 6 years until he finally accomplished this goal. Between all the trial and error and going on other mountains first and all different. Then until finally he was ready for it, and the first time it didn't work out, and the second time he reached his goal. Now you got a guy 28 years old who has so many life accomplishments in learning, how to deal in the military, and other things. And he climbed on, and this was his dream that he worked for 6 years. So I asked him, I said, buddy, I got to know one thing. What did it feel like? I wanted to know what I'm missing. I like the world. I like living it up. If I'm missing something, maybe I'll do it too. He told me an interesting thing. He said the first minute I got on the top, maybe even more than a minute, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, were the happiest moments that I ever had in my life. He said nothing compares to it. He says, I feel guilty. I'm a yeshiva boy. I know I should say learning this, that, but the rush that I had those few minutes, nothing in my life. He said, and from there on, I'm in a deep depression. He said, I can't figure out why. I said, you just said it yourself. Because the highest goal possible to reach in your world is to climb Mount Everest. You hit the top. From the top, there's only one place to go. That's down. That's it. There's nowhere else to go. I said, you're done. I said, I have only one Eitzah for you. Hashem gave the Torah also on a mountain. It's called Har Sinai. Make that your goal, and that goal never ends. There's always more to learn. Maybe then you'll be able to get your happiness back. I said, and this is not a religious agenda. This is a psychological agenda. It's for the sake of your mental well-being. I said, well, once you run out of the goals, that's it, next. There's nothing to live for anymore. What are you going to do now? If this is right, which is definitely right, then exactly what is a meaningless goal, I have to go on this vacation and see that place and go here and go there, will never buy you happiness. Maybe it will for 3 minutes, like Mount Everest, but that's the extent of it. And now what? But exactly what's a meaningful goal, getting an education, fulfilling a career, well, ideal Jewish goals, becoming a better person, having kids that actually love you instead of hate you, not a bad idea. And it's not always the parents' fault. It's so hard to understand what's going on with the kid. Every year the whole world changes, transforms. I sit down with my kids and I say, please, teach me your world. I don't get it. I don't know anything about it. Just teach it to me. I said, I want to get it. I want to be your friend. I want to know. I said, I don't know. Saturday night 2 weeks ago, I got a new phone. I didn't know how to turn it on, program it. I went to the kids. I said, you guys know 1 second, right? They know how to do it. But it's not the fun. It's not only technology. It's in everything. The era is changing. As the era is changing, the goals are becoming smaller and smaller because everything's more accessible and easier. You don't have to work for anything anymore. And how does it work in the pharmaceutical world? Every time Apple's stock goes up, there's other stocks that go up as well. Pharmaceutical companies that own patents on antidepressants. And there's an interesting parallel that people are scared to talk about. The more accessible the world becomes, this is not about kosher, not kosher, Jewish, not Jewish, it has nothing to do with that. Maybe that's also part of it, I don't know, I'm not a tzaddik, I don't know these things. The more accessible, the easier life becomes, the less goal there is, the less effort there is, the less anything there is. And then at that point, there's time to be depressed. If you can't order everything to your door and you actually have to go out to get something, then that's 15 minutes more in the day that you don't have time to be depressed. If you can't get everything done for you, and there's certain things that you actually have to do yourself. You have another few hours in a day, but there's less time to be depressed. And if you have to actually use your brain, now there's a chance that your brain can overcome your emotions sometimes. But if you never have to use your brain, because you can just plug it into some app or the other, and there's an app for everything today, then now your brain has no strength to battle anything anymore. I have a friend, I wish I was joking on this, acquaintance, we'll call him, Israeli guy, who's in the middle of developing an app that I forget the name of it, but the punchline is, it's like the Google for emotional questions. This is his crazy idea. And I believe he's going to be successful, by the way. I'm thinking of investing in his company also, pre-revenue. He says people are so stupid today, they don't know how to deal with anything. But what do they know how to do? Go onto apps. He's developing an app. You had a fight with your husband, you put in, what do I do, this and this fight. You have this, what do I do, this and this. You had an argument with your boss, you want to go in for a job interview, how am I supposed to behave, what should I wear, what, and, categorized by each type of job. And and you want to know something? This idea is so stupid that it's going to be successful. And if you don't believe me, Pokemon. If that could be successful, then anything stupid could. That's all it takes, right? Candy Crush can have the presidents of countries saying this is what we do in our downtime, then what's left of the world, huh? That's not being pessimistic. We have to observe the issue to realize the way around it. If you take the hard way out instead of the easy way out, not in everything, of course we want a comfortable life. I love luxury, that's not a secret. But in some way, you have to utilize your brain. Suddenly, quality of life becomes better. And now maybe you can aspire for some sort of goal that's a little bit more meaningful, and maybe doesn't end. And at that point, there's no reason to be sad. I had a guy come to me, I think it was last Wednesday maybe, tell me that he's battled a very severe depression for a bunch of years. Shalom Hashem Yerachim, some of these people suffer so greatly, you should never know. And I said, so what are you coming to me for? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist. Like, let's be real. So he said, no, I tried all that and it didn't work. Maybe you have a different type of AIDS. So I said, what are you good at? He said, what do you mean what am I good at? I said, you have any talent? You know how to paint, you know how to sing, you know how to dance, what do you know how to do? So he told me he knows how to play piano. I said, okay, well. He said, well, there's a relative term, you can always get better, but I know how to play piano. I said, we're going to make a little experiment. It's going to start tomorrow morning. And we'll see how you feel tomorrow afternoon, and we'll see if the experiment is in the right direction. They said, and what's that? I said, I'm aware of many, many Jewish kids in different hospitals in the local area that them and their families are there battling for lives and in a very, very miserable situation. We're going to get you a portable variation of a piano, aka a keyboard, with a built-in system so it's easy for you to be mobile. I'm going to give you a list of hospitals, names, room numbers, and we'll get you cards that you need from Bikur Cholim to get into each place. And you'll go from room to room, play a couple of songs. If you know how to sing, that would be even better. If not, they'll flop. Wish them well, and go to the next room. I said, when do I do this? I said, they're going to let you in only after 8:30 in the morning. So 8:30 tomorrow morning. He said, what about the afternoon? I said, no. Happy people wake up in the morning. 8:30 in the morning, you have to be ready to go. Fine, I'll do it. I'll try. He said, but why should that help? I said, I don't know. But you came for advice, that's the advice. At like 4 in the afternoon, the guy texts me and he says, is there another list for tomorrow? So I texted him back, I guess it worked. He said, I didn't feel this good in 5 years. I told him, I didn't give you anything smart. I don't understand why everybody else who spoke to you didn't. All I did was push you to do something that actually has meaning. And you're not happy, you made somebody else happy. It rubs off, that's it. It went back to you. Karma. In a good way. That's all that happened. You took somebody who was in pain, put a smile on his face. Hashem said, you're in pain? Yes, a smile on your face. I said, a list for tomorrow, Hashem Yerachim. We have a list to keep you busy forever. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a list. I said, second of all, the kid that you played music for today, you don't think needs you to play music for him tomorrow? So take the same list. Start all over again, 8:30 tomorrow morning. So he tells me, all right, but what's the end? I said, no, I purposely picked this. There's so many other things I could have told you to do. I said, go learn arts, culture, this, that, right? And all those are satisfying things. They have meaning. I bedafka picked this. Because somebody else's joy has no end. So it's not an Everest that you hit the top and now there's only one way. There's always somewhere to continue going. Let me help him be happier. Let me alleviate more of his or her pain. And here you go, you got a formula for happiness. I don't know, it's only been a short while, let's see how long this lasts, but as long as he sticks to it, he's not going to need everything that he needed until now. It's crazy and it's arrogant to say, and how can you say that? It's against the medical world. And again, you're right, but with facts, you can't argue. That's my answer to everybody. His own doctor spoke to me on the phone one day. He says, where do you get the guts from to do this? I said, I agree with you. I didn't go to school, you did. I have a lot of respect for you also. I said, our own Bible says, Chokhmah bagoyim tamim, we have to respect the wise man. And you're definitely a wise person. I said, but what should we do? The fact is that until that morning, he was in bed all day. And from that morning, he's out, active, and smiling all day. So with a fact, I can't argue. I'd rather be wrong and happy than right and depressed. Just a personal choice. So doctor, could be your choice is different. If it is, then lead your life that way. But this kid's choosing happiness. Bachalta b'chaim! Choosing life. Greatest simcha ever. But there's something so much deeper here. Yaakov Avinu gives an eitzah for Am Yisrael for generations. If you turn your maaseh chesed into something commercial, then you lost it all. Not spiritually. Again, this is not about Olam Haba. Olam Haba, you should learn Musa, deal with it. That's your thing. I'm not about Musa. One day when I'll be a tzaddik, I'll think about it. Until then, we keep out of it. Olam Hazeh I'm talking about, to live in this world a better way. Yaakov Avinu comes and says, once something becomes commercialized, then it has a cap already. How many emails did you guys get today help us reach our goal from every organization that exists out there? So that means there's a goal. Once the goal is reached, till next year when we could harass you again at the end of tax season. That's commercialized Judaism already. There's nothing left to that. There's no satisfaction in that. Institutionalized Torah doesn't hold because it loses it. The Gedolei Yisrael always taught the boys, learn beyond the Sdarim that you have in yeshiva, learn at night extra. It wasn't only about being a matmid, about learning extra hours. That's when the person is himself, not the robot that he has to be. I can tell you from the days that I was in yeshiva, during the day we tried to learn, I'm not going to say not, but we weren't the greatest tzaddikim, let's just say that. We liked sleeping also a little bit in the morning. We used to say that. We're in a high olamot. So Mazal Neubach had a psak halacha. It's almost embarrassing to say that Mazal would even write such a psak halacha because why would we need it? But he wrote such a psak and he did it for us in the yeshiva. That if you have a roommate that's sleeping and it came time to pray, and you know you're going to wake him up and he's not going to come to pray, then don't wake him up. Because at least when he's sleeping, it's considered an ones al pi halacha. Because he's asleep, he doesn't know, it's man tefillah, it's man kishva. If you wake him up, now he knows he has to pray, he's not praying anyway. And therefore he writes halakha, that if you're not 100% sure that the person wants to get up, don't wake him up, leave him alone. I don't know how many parents would agree to that, but if I have to choose it from Zalman Auerbach, or what we think, I would choose what the Gdol Ador thought. But if you had to write such a psak, what does that mean? That we were boys, Hashem Yachar, Hashem should forgive us. You know, the morning wasn't our hours. But you walked into the Beit Midrash at midnight, 1 a.m., hundreds of guys sitting and learning. And even if you were dead tired, and even if you didn't have interest that day, you didn't walk out. Because that was your time. You didn't have to be there. Nobody told you to be there. It was your time, your choice, and your connection. And those were the hours that people really, really connected. Some of the greatest guys that today are big rabbis in Israel that grew up together with me, I see it clearly. That most of the knowledge that they got was 9 p.m. to 3 or 4 a.m. when they would sit and learn for hours and hours. I've seen it on some of my friends that didn't have the patience to sit. They were kids that had so much energy that was out of control. And during the day, you asked them to sit for an hour and learn, no chance. At night, suddenly they were able to do it. What changed? That's where the person's personality was able to come. A person has to be a mechadish. You have to do something for yourself. Something that's mine. My learning. My prayer. My connection with Hashem. What's mine? Where am I in this? My tzedakah. Not to replicate what everybody else is doing. Then again, you peak to your goal. Okay, so you're a good copycat. You're like everybody else. Now what? Be original. Come up with something. There's a reason why Hashem gave the Torah Shivim Panim LaTorah. So there should never be an end. There should never be a point. The person says that he learned it all. I saw a cute story. Chaim Kanievsky and Rav Shteiman had mutual grandchildren. They were mechutanim. So one grandson had a bar mitzvah. And Rav Shteiman wasn't feeling well. This was when he was alive. Shivadel Chaim Tovim Rav Chaim, he was younger and felt better. So Rav Chaim was able to go to the bar mitzvah. Shteiman wasn't able to go to the bar mitzvah. So by the bar mitzvah, the boy came over to his grandfather, Rav Chaim, and he told him, "What do you think I should take upon myself by my bar, in honor of my bar mitzvah?" So Rav Chaim answered him, "You should take upon yourself to learn the entire Torah." Not bad to tell a 13-year-old, right? Take upon yourself to learn the entire Torah. So he said, "What do you mean?" But I asked my other grandfather, Rav Shteiman, and he told me a different thing. He said, "What did he tell you?" He said that I should never lie. I should always be honest. So Chaim said, "Then do both. But you should know which one is harder." What he told you. This I quoted in previous classes. But tonight I want to put a twist on it. You know why it's harder? Because it's to be honest with yourself, not to lie to somebody else. You wouldn't lie to other people. Why lie? It's sick. To be honest with yourself, to say, where am I? Who am I? What am I creating for myself? Where's my goal that's not going to end so I can keep myself a happy, motivated person in life? And over here there's a little bit of depth to this idea. Now I want to take another twist on it. What's v'yidgula rov b'kerev haaretz? So we said one idea is to be thirsty for Torah. Another idea is to be hidden from ayin hara. Let's take one more pshat. Person slaughters a cow, wants to eat it. Kosher shechita. Something went wrong during the shechita. That's it. The cow could have been a kosher cow in potential, but because something went wrong during the process, now it's not good. Let's say the slaughtering part did go through right. The knife was okay, Shochet was able to get it done right, it went through right. But now, it's not a kosher cow yet. You have to check the lungs, see if there's a sircha, see if there's something wrong. If it comes out clean, so up to step 2, we're okay. But if not, even though the shechita was okay, we got to take the cow and give it to the Arabs. There's nothing to do with it. In good shape. Baruch Hashem. Still not done. Now you got to take the animal and kosher it, salt it. Without that, boom, can't eat it. And if something went wrong in the time of the process of the akshara, which there are many halachot that can go wrong in that process, again it goes back to being a treifa. The dogs will be happy. The pasuk says, "Lakelet tashlichun," give it to the dogs. No, Baruch Hashem, we finally went through. The shechita went by peacefully. Miracle 1. The animal was healthy, no sircha, no problem with the lungs, everything's okay. We got through step 2. The akshara, everything beautiful. We put on a seal, chalak, glat, unbelievable, amazing. But we're still not done. Because now we take it to the kitchen, you put it into a pot, and by mistake, instead of putting in margarine, you put in butter. The glat kosher meat just became not kosher. Go back to square one again. And like this, the list goes on and on. Meaning that you did one step towards making an animal kosher doesn't mean that you'll ever be able to eat it. All it means is that you're one step closer to the destination. Where is this not true? It's true by a cow, by a chicken, by whatever you want. A different type of protein, fish. You want to have a kosher fish, there's no shechita, there's no bikot, there's no nothing. Pull it out of the water, it has fins and scales, have a good day, and that's it. And even if you put a little milk, it might be a sakana for the Sfaradim, but for the Ashkenaz, or Pialacha, it's no problem. You're good to go. Very, very simple thing. You don't need to be a big mumche. Anybody could see fins and scales. A child at 3 years old could see it. The room for error is almost zero. Comes the Torah Kedosha and says like this: "Hamalach hagoel oti mikol Yaakov Avinu said, Ribono shel Olam, you protected me, but now I have children. First, I got to get them through elementary school. I got to hope that they survive elementary school and nobody does anything wrong to them along the way. And no stupid teacher says something stupid to them along the way. And that their emotions are intact when they graduate safely." Say big agomel. I think that's what a graduation party is. It's agomel. They survived school and they came out alive. They came out okay. And then what? Put them into a good yeshiva. Still not done. He went into a good yeshiva. How many boys went into good yeshivas and La'aleinu, things went wrong? One bad apple is enough to ruin the whole basket. Or one teacher that doesn't know how to handle a kid is enough to destroy him forever on every front, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and everything else. All it takes is one word. That's all it takes. He went through Shir Aleph, Shir Beis, Shir Gimel. Now he comes to Bet Midrash. You gotta say the whole new Tfilat HaDerech. Now the kid's on the road, has a car, has a phone, and everything else, and we have to hope that that doesn't win the Gemara again. Need another whole cycle. And then after that, it comes the Israel phase, which over there you got to say a lot of Tehillim for. And then when it comes back, comes BMG's freezer. Hopefully he makes it out not too cold, and he gets married one day. And then we got to hope that the marriage works out. That means the parent is in constant subconscious worry what's going to be. Yaakov Avinu prayed that there should be a day, and inshallah that day should come soon. V'yidgu larov b'kerev haaretz. Our children should be like fish. Very simple. The kid's born, thin, scales, will grow up a kosher kid in a good environment, and that's it. At the curse of tzar gidul banim, of the suffering that we have to go through until we feel even somewhat secure with somebody, should finally go away. And the biggest pain today that exists in the world, unfortunately, is not the pain of illness. Because illness people deal with emunah. Hashem sent it, and it is what it is. The biggest pain is the pain of parents that have kids that, let's just say, aren't loving them or Hashem. And they go hand in hand, normally. And that's something that's a widespread problem. There are many, many Gedolei Yisrael of our generation that their kids are like that. This is not a problem of one sect or the other. This hit all targets. This hit all areas. Yaakov Avinu already begged the Kodesh Baruch Hu this blessing years ago. Make it a day that we should have v'yidgu larov b'kerev haaretz. That should just be peaceful. And the answer to that is very simple. Healthy kids are happy kids. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. If we can keep our home a happy place and keep our kids happy kids, they learn a little more, a little less, at the end it all works out. And unhappy kids will never be healthy kids in any way. It's just a matter of time that there's some escape that's going to take over. That's a fact. All of us have friends that are, many of them are not here anymore because they needed to escape. Not only not here spiritually, not here physically. There's no way back. There's no point to return anymore. And if only there was a mother at home to hug him and kiss him, and if only there was a father that wasn't a pain in the neck, and instead was accepting, and if only there were teachers that realized the kid's desperation, and instead of saying, why'd you get a 60 on a test, ask themselves, why did my student get a 60 on a test? Obviously, I'm not giving them enough to do well, then these kids would still be alive. Then we as individuals, as a community, as leaders, and as everything else wouldn't have blood on our hands right now. And that's the blessing of Yaakov Avinu, v'yidgu larov. We have to do whatever we can. We can't go to shul on Shabbat and say chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Hashem had enough of that. No chazak and no nitchazek. Nothing's getting stronger. What are we doing to simplify things for people? These kids are growing up in the app generation. Everything has to be simple. How can we simplify their access to a joyous life? How can we simplify their understanding that we actually do love them, even though they don't believe it because we're never home? How do we simplify that? How do we bring it down to them in their terms? You know what? Not in the way I was. I love this one. When I was a child, my mother... Hello? When you were a child, your mother rode on a horse and donkey. So maybe go back to that too. When you were a child in Russia, they didn't have bathrooms at home. They went to outer houses, so maybe do that too. What type of stupid claim is that? I was a child. And therefore what? And therefore, second of all, if we want to go with the when I was a child case, so 150 years ago in Europe, there weren't almost any yeshivot, and there was a handful of yeshiva students. So, where's the line that we cut off, I was a child? How far back do we go? One mother told me about her son, she wants to sit shiva on her son, in these words. Why? He's a Hasidic kid and he cut off his peot. He has curls, he cut them off. I said, okay, I think you should sit shiva, I'm going to come to do nichum avelim. I said, but not nichum avelim on the son, on the mother. That's the nichum avelim. You're nuts. Are you crazy? So she says, what do you mean? In the haim, that's what they call it. At home, if somebody would have done such a thing, you would have been out. I said, let me tell you something. In the haim, a couple of 100 years ago, there was no such a thing as Hasidim. It's an invention of a couple 100 years. So if you want to go back to Yaakov Avinu. And if you don't want to go back, stop with the trivial ceremonies. And no, God forbid, I'm not disrespecting any community or the Holy Baal Shem Tov or anything else. Hasidut actually saved the world today, and we see it so clearly. But that's what you're getting stuck on? You can't have a double standard, be honest. If you want to go, then go all the way. And if you don't want to go, then who decided how many years back we go and how we categorize what? And was convenient, fine. So for the kid, it's convenient otherwise. That's not called Judaism. That's not V'natan lanu Torat emet. The foundation of the Torah is truth. That's not truth. Truth is to go with the objective part. Comes Yaakov Avinu and says, there's one eighth at the daven. Hashem, Rebbeinu Shalom, help us. Let's take Birkat Avot, that for once and for all it should be very, very simple. It shouldn't have to be so complicated anymore. And how do we know that was his agenda? Because when you bless your kids on Friday night, Simcha Elokim Ki Ephraim V'chi Menashe. God should bless you like Ephraim and Menashe. Why Ephraim and Menashe? Because Yaakov Avinu decided this. B'chai Yivarech Yisrael, right? That's what it says over there. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that Am Yisrael is going to bless their kids. B'chai Yivarech Yisrael, with Yosef's kids. Yisimcha Elokim, Hashem shall put you Ki Ephraim V'chi Menashe. All of the rabbis ask, why were these two chosen out of all the Shvatim? If anything, I would say, Yisimcha Elokim Ki Yisachar V'chi Zvulun, because that covers the two most important things in the world, Torah and Parnasah. Why Ephraim and Menashe? This is all the Chachamim asked us. If we would start listing the names, we could be here for a very long time now. And it's amazing how the vast majority of them, on their own, without quoting each other, answer the same exact answer. And we're talking about big generation gaps. So normally the rabbis learned each other's farim, they knew. And for some reason, each one says the same thing on his own. It means it's a pshat that came from the neshama. It came instantly, from the soul, all the way out. You say, you know what the blessing is? Yisachar and Zvulun grew up in Yaakov Avinu's yeshiva. That's not a big deal. When you grow up in such a warm environment, and by such a Talmid Chacham, and by such a loving father, of course you're going to come out okay. Ephraim and Menashe grew up in Egypt. They grew up under the worst circumstances. In Tumat Ta'amim, in the worst case, with the most tests possible. Came Yaakov Avinu and told Yosef, you should know that one day a Jewish father is going to have to bless his kids. And you know what the blessing for his kids should be? Yisimcha Elokim Ki Ephraim V'chi Menashe. I'm aware that you're surrounded by Tumat Ta'amim. I'm aware of all the tests that you have. I'm aware that you live in one big Mitzrayim. But Af Al Pi Kein, I pray, Hashem should help that just like Ephraim and Menashe were able to survive, hopefully you'll be able to survive that too. And that we do every Friday night. We don't go into denial mode on Friday night and say, the world doesn't exist around us. We live on some island. We go into reality mode. We understand these kids have big, big tests. And they have everything screaming to them, come to me. They're Af Al Pi Kein. Anyway, they're doing something else. One of the great Hasidic rabbis, I don't want to misquote, but I saw this in a calendar. It's a sefer, but it's called a calendar, called Luach Davar B'ito. You could check it up, you'll see the name of the Rebbe, I forgot. He brings down an interesting thing. It goes by dates over there. Each day he brings down the halachot that have to do with that day, the customs, the hilulot, the tzaddikim, the interesting stuff, all the stuff that has to do with that day. Big fat book. Just fat, right? So he brings down on the day by the Goyim New Year's, and one of the Admorim that day used to make a big celebration. Celebration? Oy vavoy. Katakum, you're not allowed to do it, it's a sin. Just a sin, that's a lot worse than a sin. It means there's nothing left to you, there's no Jewish heart left anymore. What's the celebration? It says he didn't do it at night like the Goyim did, so there's no problem with Katakum. He did it by day. Instead of a New Year's Eve party, he made a New Year's Day party. What was the New Year's Day party about? He used to gather his Hasidim together, they would throw a big celebration, and he would speak. And this was a speech every year over again. Ribono shel olam, look at us, and look at them. He said, we have New Year's, they have New Year's. On the eve of our New Year's, we came into the synagogue. And on the morning of our New Year's, we came back into the synagogue, and as it says in the Ashkenaz prayer of Rosh Hashanah, Gashim mul aron hakodesh be'ema l'shakech ka'as v'cheima. We came with fear, with a healthy fear, into synagogue in order to settle our issues upstairs and make sure everything's okay. That was our New Year's. And today is their New Year's. Where were they? What did they do to say, we're having another year, so now let's figure it out? They got drunk, and now they're hungover. God, now pick. Who deserves a better year? These are the choices. And that was his thing. And what did he make a meal for, a celebration? So he used to say, he's celebrating the case that he has for Hashem. He's celebrating the case. He got a case. He's celebrating the case. That's a reason for celebrating. It's Yom Tov. It's Yom Tov. So I hope a lot of you are spending this coming weekend with me. But for those of you who are not, I give you very loving advice. Get the blessing of that Admor and his party. Instead of going out Sunday night, which I hope and pray from the depths of my heart that it's freezing cold in a massive snowstorm. The more the better. Save so many sins in Klal Yisrael, it'll be amazing. My grandfather, Alav Shalom in Israel, used to pray every year that it should pour rain the whole Purim. Also for the same reason, because it saves a lot of sins. But in case it's not like that, I understand that New York City is 6.7 miles away. There's a lot of flashing lights there. Thank God I wasn't blessed to know who's performing this year. But let's hope it's not somebody who's going to lip sing for a few $1 million of taxpayers' money. But one way or the other, if you go to shul instead that night and you actually sit down and learn something, come to Hashem and say, look at their New Year's and look at my New Year's. My New Year's Rosh Hashanah was in shul, and my day off, which is their New Year's, is a Yom Shekulot Torah. You know how many Yom Shekulot Torahs they have in Lakewood on Monday? I don't know how to count anymore. I got so many ads. It doesn't stop. Every synagogue practically. All the business guys. They're all off. Nothing to do anyway. Go learn. Go and learn. Kosher Mishpat, Yorei De'ah, every subject. Each synagogue has a rabbi and a thing and a program the whole day with breakfast, lunch, everything. A subject. You know the Kiddush Hashem that is? You know when we come to Hashem with that kid? That's a case. That's a case. And we can utilize the weakness of Tumat Amim for our advantage. We don't have to say, okay, this is the way it is in 2018, so now we're going to be like that. Utilize that to say, I'm going to make a tiny spark, and it's so dark that spark is worth everything in the world. And that would be a great idea to. And remember, Chazal HaKadoshim teach us that when less people do something, those who do it get reward kineged kulam, many, many times over. So on a night that, unfortunately, La'aleinu, we should never know, many Jews all over the world aren't in the Beit Midrash. If you end up in the Beit Midrash, then that's like who knows how many other nights of learning throughout the year. So it's a great opportunity. So even on the business end of things, it's a good opportunity. It's a school. And you're not going to work anyway, so what's the excuse? You got nothing to wake up for Monday morning. And when you do wake up, you're going to look at the walls. Even the stores, I think, are closed. No shopping either. So where are you going? You going out to eat again? You did it 180 times already. You know? Most New Year's resolutions are to lose weight. Make that resolution the night before. You don't have to go out to eat now 4 times on New Year's. And go to shul. What's going to happen? Go learn. Instead of daf yomi, it should be daf shnati. Learn a daf that day. At least once a year. You had a day off. Some people have the schut. Every day they learn daf yomi. Ashrein. Some people don't have the schut. At least make daf shnati. One day a year you learn the daf. It's also something. It's a step in the right direction. And then at that point, it actually justifies the day off. It makes some sense. The amazing thing is, you might actually feel good, and then next Sunday when you're off, you may come back again. And suddenly your shoes get fuller. The idea is to stick to it. The largest business on January 2nd in the United States, believe it or not, is not retail transactions. But retail transactions in the sense of returns, not purchasing. But then after that, the second largest industry on January 2nd is gyms. Everybody signs up gym memberships. Now, any of you are in the gym business? Do you know how it works? You know what the model of a gym is in order to be profitable? Gyms are the second most failing business in the United States after restaurants. It's true, that's a fact. You can check right now on your phones if you want. It's second most failing business in the US, meaning it's kind of suicide to go into that industry. But, and this is the reason why, the model of a gym is this, that per equipment and space that you have to reasonably maintain 50 people, you have to have 9 times, it's a 9x equation, of memberships. Meaning 450 members for every 50 people that you can accommodate. What do you mean? But how does that work? What happens when they show up? They never show up. Because it's a New Year's resolution. And it stays until next New Year's when you renew the membership. That's what starts and that's the way this business is built. It's structured around that philosophy. We're going to get your members, and that's why they take an initiation fee and everything in advance. Because anything they don't get day one, you're not coming back anyway. So they're not going to get from you. It's done. It's gone. And for the few people that actually showed up, they don't care about that. It's not, that don't make a difference anymore. That's a joke in the big scheme of things. Our New Year's resolution is exactly the opposite. When we come to Rosh Hashanah, we look, how did we leave off last year, Motzei Rosh Hashanah, or Motzei Kippur? Does it match? And if it doesn't match, then we go running to do Slichot. Why? Because when we decide something, we actually plan on following through. And it's not a theory, and it's not about calories and pounds, it's about feeling good. It's about a person being able to be happy and content with himself. Years ago, my Rashi Yeshivot used to teach me the importance of Torah for the sake of learning Torah, to be a Talmid Chacham, which of course is the right way to present the case. Today, I'm not sure that anybody wants to hear that anymore. I say, be a Talmid Chacham, because if your head is full with something positive, you'll be happy. And if not, you're going to be looking for something to replace it, and it doesn't end good. It's worth learning all the time, and that's why today girls should learn also. It used to be girls learned Tehillim and took care of their kids, that was it. Today we have shiurim and this, and everything's for women also. Why? Because people need to stimulate their brain. In a generation that you don't have to know even the basic multiples table that anybody would know in first grade, you have to go learn. There's no choice. And if you go learn, you'll be happy. It's that simple. Torah is meshivat nafesh. Number one, spiritually. Number two, materialistically. Because Baruch Hashem, we should all find time in our not so busy schedules, not theoretical busy schedules. The more you do, the more you accomplish. I have one grandfather alive. Hashem should give him a flash a long life. He's in his 90s. He's Ashkenaz. He's a Holocaust survivor. And he made us see Mashas recently. For what he told us was it was the 56th time. But in reality, later on he told me that it's really 3 times that, because he learns it once before, he considers the real learning, and reviews it once after. So that means 168 something times. He made us see Mashas. 174 times. He made us see Mashas. And there's a guy who lost his father, his mother, and 11 out of 13 brothers and sisters in front of his eyes. Is that called PTSD? I think every therapist today would agree you have PTSD from that, right? And built a life and a family. And you know why he's normal and was an extremely successful businessman as well? Because he learned. He had something to keep his mind stimulated. And there was a reason why to get up the next morning. Life sucked. Everything worked against him. Nothing was working out. He lost his family. He had nothing. He was, kinder transport saved him. That's how he got out. But other than that, nothing. He tells me, he went by Moshe Schneider. I hope some of you at least heard that name. One of the big tzaddikei ador. If you're ever in London, go to a cemetery called Emsfield. He's buried in the Emsfield cemetery, daven by his keva. Don't know what it means to daven by a keva or a tzaddik. Just standing there, suddenly you'll feel like you were born again, like a new person. It's unreal. Tzaddik that his kedusha radiates until today. And Moshe Schneider was not only a Rosh Shiva, he was a father. They were all orphans. He took care of these kids. His wife wasn't the Rebbitzin, she was the mother. She cooked for them, she did everything for them. So here are the circumstances that they learned Torah and that they were happy about. And I'm not saying today we could do that. No, today we would fail at that. But it's good to know stories of great people that are still amongst us. So every kid got one set of clothes. They would give him one set of clothes. Because that's all they could afford to give. And what happens is that we used to learn. He told me when he was learning, his chavrusa he had two chavrusas, actually very interesting. Well, in the morning he used to learn Rav Moshe Sternbuch, Gadol Olam. And in the afternoon, second day, they used to learn with another guy who was also a Gadol, but in a different area in money. His name was Moshe Reichman. These were his two chavrusas for a few years. So we would sit 16, 17 hours a day. So it wasn't first Seder like today, 4 hours. The first Seder was 7, 8 hours plugging. And the second Seder meant the rest of the day, after Mincha, as long as you can go. So after a while, we ran into a problem. The pants would rub out. They sat on a wooden bench for so long. So they would come to the Rebbitzin, and they would say, maybe you could arrange us another pair. This ain't going to work. And she would give them something temporary and say, wait, I'll sew it for you. But she didn't have fabric to put a patch. She didn't have the patch. So she would cut from the bottom of the pants and sew it onto the place of the seat where it had a hole. Sure. He said, so how did we know who was a bigger matmid in the yeshiva? The shorter your pants were. Maybe that's why some of the Hasidim wear the short pants today. To be in that level of hatmada like they were back then. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And today, as an old man who has children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and a beautiful family, he tells me straight out. He said, you know what kept me alive and going and why I didn't give up after everything I've seen and everything I've been through? That I went to Moshe Schneider and he made us love to learn. And when you love to learn, nothing else can bother you. He says, this outdoes everything. He said, every struggle I hit in my life, as long as I was at the point that I still had the Gemara over there, that I still had what to hold on to, I was able to survive. And if I didn't, I don't know where I would be today. And that's a man who's been through it. I don't have the right to talk that way because what do I know? I was raised on a silver platter, more or less. He wasn't. So he has the right to talk. So his opinion is suddenly valid. So this is not a matter of your olam haba. It's a matter of your olam hazeh. For this world to sit and learn. For this world to be able to have a connection to Torah. It's an amazing, amazing thing. By the way, that story that went around that Moshe Sternbuch used to wake the boys up in the morning and Moshe Reichman used to bring the bread or whatever, and my grandfather denies, he says it's not true, Moshe Sternbuch never woke up anybody, he used to learn, it was baloney. So that's a false story. But there were many other stories from that yeshiva. Just to give you an example of what it means to learn. He got a wedding. How does it work? You gotta leave early from work, come home, start looking in the closet, what am I wearing? And today, right? We're very machmeh. Just in case. They need two of everything. It's not only for the temperature and the weather and the fashion and design. And one in case my friend also has this, so then I can't wear it anymore. So this is a backup plan for that. And then to start, just the preparations is a 2-hour story. Then, if you're Bukharian, you also have to now rob a bank because the envelopes. And so you survive that safely, and now we go to a wedding, get drunk, come home, becomes a 9-hour story. My grandfather found out one morning that he has a sister that survived the war. There's a man who lost all his siblings. One morning they notify him, you have a sister and she's alive. Where is she? She's in London. What part of London? The other part of the city, a couple of kilometers from where the yeshiva was. Not only that, tomorrow night she's getting married. So he has a sister, she's alive, it's been 8 years that they had no contact, she's getting married tomorrow night. And he goes to Rosh Shiva all happy and he says, Rebbe, you won't believe it, a ness happened to me. My sister's alive, she survived the war, and she's living in London. And Rosh Shiva is all happy and he says, Baruch Hashem Mazal Tov, look, the Zchut HaTorah protected her. And then he says, and she's getting married tomorrow night. And the Rosh Shiva doesn't say anything. And he says, Rebbe, she's getting married tomorrow night. He said, so? He said, what do you mean so? So I'm going to the wedding. He said, why? He said, my sister, I didn't see her in 8 years. He said, you know what, you're right. There is a mitzvah to respect an older sister. Take the train, I'll give you money. Go, tell her Mazal Tov, don't stay for the chuppah and come back to learn. It's a waste of time. So I asked him, Grandpa, what did you do? He said, I didn't listen to Rosh Yeshiva completely. He told me to stay 1 minute, and I stayed 4. 8 years of hell, traumatized by the world, lost everything and everybody, but you can make a Siyum HaShas over 150 times. Why? Because the Rosh Yeshiva said, go and come back. You think the Rosh Yeshiva didn't have a heart? He didn't understand that he should be by his sister's wedding? The Rosh Yeshiva wanted to save his life. He said, if I give him too much time to think, and too much time to realize what happened to him and what he's missing, it's over. He's never going to have a future. Let me keep him in learning until he's strong enough mentally to deal with everything that he had. Until his emunah is strong enough, until he's old enough and mature enough. Then he'll be able to go out to the world and spend as much time as he can with his sister in a healthy way. And years later, his sister lives right near him, and they spent many, they had beautiful, beautiful years together. That's a big lesson in life. Having a bad day, go throw yourself into a book. Today you got it in every language. Pull out whatever language. You don't know Hebrew, take an English one, a Russian one, a Spanish one, I don't care what. Take one. Put yourself into there. Not because Hashem said so, because you're going to feel better. Of course, Hashem said so. You also have a marble. It wouldn't be a bad idea. It'd be nice to have a good spot in Gan Eden. But that's an added bonus, because you, yourself, are going to feel better. There's been a discussion, and with this I'm ending, that somebody sent out some recordings. I don't know exactly what the story is, or who it is for that matter. If Tehillim does work or doesn't work. Tehillim works, and it works instantly. And I know that guy is going to say now that I'm an Oved Avodah Zarah, I'd love to work, I'd be an idol worshiper like that. But David HaMelech says so. David HaMelech, David HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tehillim should have a power, just like learning the hardest sugyot in Shas. So that means that just by a lady opening up a Tehillim and saying one perek, or a child, or anybody of any age, men, women, children, it doesn't make a difference. It has a koach. Now, some people make a mistake and they think, I don't feel well, so I'm going to read a perek Tehillim, suddenly all magic's going to happen. No, there's no guarantees. You might see the result, you might not. But does it work? Yeah, it works. When does it work? Instantly. Because just by saying one word of Tehillim, you're now a better person than 1 word ago. And by saying the next word, you're now even a better person, and so on. And the same thing with every single word of Torah. Torah is meshivat nafesh. If you went to learn one night and it happened to be that you don't feel great when you left, the problem wasn't by the Torah and the problem wasn't by you. Just sometimes it takes a little bit of time to take effect. When you take Tylenol, it also takes 15 minutes until it works. So you got to let some things sink in sometimes. I know everybody likes everything instant, so do I. I'm not going to deny it. But no, not always. Strong people weren't created instant. Quick money got lost quickly too, aka the lotteries. All these kids that won the lotteries, a few years later, they're more broke than before they won it. Because what comes easy goes easy. There's nothing left to that. But to go and say that don't think that Tehillim works or that is effective right away, or it's effective that second live. As you say the words, you're now a better person, you're a holier person. And in Shamayim, they rejudge you in a completely different way that second. Because until now, they were judging you as a person who was missing one word of Tehillim. Now you have the word of Tehillim and David HaMelech's your lawyer. You're a whole new person. You're a whole new person. It's an unbelievable thing. Baruch help. We shouldn't forget this. We should read Tehillim. It's very important for everybody of every age, every day to take a Tehillim. You young kids, parents should bribe their kids with candy or whatever they like, toys, that they should read Tehillim every day. To have a connection, especially if there was such a zilzul with Tehillim recently in the Jewish community. We have to do a tikkun for that. Read extra Tehillim now. To be David HaMelech, who was the master of going through life, of hardship and everything else, wrote exactly the praise of life, the happiness of life. The greatest happiness you'll get is through the holy Tehillim, if you understand what you're saying. Be'ez Hashem, we should have a happy, happy, happy life. V'simchat tamid, amen v'amen.